I was told over and over that I wasn't welcome at any family's event. Mom screamed, "Events are for real family only." So when I got married, I didn't invite them and they lost it, demanding to fix things. But I made one call that ended it all. Growing up, I always thought every family had their dynamics. Some were close, others distant. Mine fell into a category I didn't have words for until much later: conditional. My name is Lisa, and for 21 years, I existed on the periphery of my own family. My parents divorced when I was 7. Dad remarried Christine within a year, and suddenly I had 2 stepbros, Tyler and Marcus. Mom took longer, but when I was 11, she married Robert, who came with a daughter named Ashley. The thing is, nobody asked me how I felt about any of it. I was just expected to adapt, to blend, to disappear when necessary. The first time I really felt the difference, was at Tyler's 10th birthday party. I had just turned 9. The backyard was decorated with blue and silver balloons, and there was a bounce house shaped like a castle. I remembered being so excited, wearing my favorite purple dress with the sunflowers on it. But when I tried to get in line for cake, Christine pulled me aside. "Sweetheart, this is Tyler's special day," she said, her voice tripping with artificial sweetness. "Why don't you go inside and watch TV? The other kids are his school friends, and it might be awkward for you." Dad stood 10 feet away, pretending not to hear. I went inside. Through the kitchen window, I watched everyone sing happy birthday. Tyler blew out his candles while Marcus cheered. Dad had his arm around Christine's waist, smiling wider than I'd seen in months. Nobody came to check on me. Nobody saved me a piece of cake. At Mom's house, things weren't better, just different flavors of the same poison. Robert worked in finance and made considerably more money than Dad. Their house was bigger, newer, in a neighborhood with an HOA and streets named after trees that didn't actually grow there. Ashley was 12 when they married, already established in her private school with her friend groups and her writing lessons. Ashley needs stability right now. Mom explained to me once, after I asked why I couldn't attend Ashley's writing competition. The divorce was hard on her. Robert thinks it's best if we keep things small, just immediate family. I'm your daughter. I said I was 13. You know what I mean, Lisa. Don't be difficult. High school graduation came and went with the standard ceremony at the Civic Center. Mom and Robert showed up late, sitting in the back. Dad and Christine sent a card with $50 inside. Ashley graduated from her private academy the same spring with a party at a country club. I wasn't invited to that either. Tyler got into State University, and Dad threw him a huge celebration with extended family I'd met maybe twice. I heard about it from my grandmother, who called to ask why I hadn't attended. I wasn't invited. "Grandma," there was a long pause. "That can't be right." But it was right. It was always right. College became my escape. I went to a school 8 hours away, majored in environmental science, and built a life where I controlled who got to be in it. I made friends who showed up for me. Real friends, the kind who remembered your birthday without Facebook reminding them. I met people who actually wanted me around. During winter break my sophomore year, I came home for Christmas. Mom was hosting, and I arrived to find the house transformed into something from a holiday magazine. Robert had hired decorators. The 12-oot tree in the foyer had a color-coordinated theme. Ashley was there with her new boyfriend, some guy named Brandon, whose family apparently owned half a county in Connecticut. I'd been there maybe 20 minutes when Mom pulled me into the kitchen. "Robert's parents are coming for dinner," she said, arranging cheese on a wooden board. "I need you to understand this is really important for Ashley and Brandon." "Robert's father is making some business introductions for Brandon." "Okay," I said. "What time should I be ready?" Mom stopped, looked at me with something between pity and annoyance. "Lisa, this dinner is for real family only. Robert's parents don't know you, and explaining the whole situation would just make things complicated. I already made you a plate you can take to your room." Something cracked inside me right then. 20 years old, standing in my mother's kitchen, being told I wasn't family enough to sit at a dinner table in a house where I was supposed to belong. "You're serious," I said. "Don't make this a thing," Mom hissed. "You're always so sensitive about everything. It's one dinner." It wasn't one dinner. It was every dinner, every birthday, every holiday, every graduation, every celebration that mattered. I was the guest who overstayed their welcome, except I never got welcomed in the first place. I left that night, drove 8 hours back to campus in a snowstorm, crying so hard I had to pull over twice. I didn't come home the next Christmas or the one after that. I made excuses about internships and research projects. Mom sent texts asking when I'd visit. I kept the responses short. Then I met Daniel. We met at a conservation conference in Portland during my junior year. He was presenting research on watershed restoration, and I was completely lost in his presentation until he made a joke about salmon that somehow tied into climate policy. He had this way of making complex environmental issues feel manageable, like if we all just tried a little harder, we could fix things. We got coffee after his panel, coffee turned into dinner, dinner turned into walking around Portland until 2 in the morning, talking about everything from invasive species to our favorite childhood books. He told me about growing up in Vermont with 3 younger sisters, how his parents still hosted Sunday dinners, where attendance was mandatory and everyone fought over who got the last of his mom's apple crisp. Sounds overwhelming, I said. It is. Daniel agreed, but it's also incredible. They drive me crazy, but I know they've got my back always. I told him about my family, all of it. The birthday parties I wasn't invited to, the graduations where I sat alone, the Christmas dinner I ate from a plate in my childhood bedroom while everyone else laughed downstairs. He didn't offer empty platitudes or try to explain away their behavior. He just held my hand and said, "That's really messed up. I'm sorry." We dated long distance for 2 years after graduation. He got a position with the Forest Service in Colorado. I landed a job with an environmental nonprofit in Denver. Suddenly, we were in the same state, and it felt like everything was falling into place. During those 2 years of building our relationship, my family's patterns continued like clockwork. Marcus got engaged to his college girlfriend, Emma. Dad and Christine threw an engagement party at their house with catered food and a bartender. I found out through a photo Marcus posted on Instagram. Him and Emma surrounded by smiling family members. Christine beaming in the center of the shot. I didn't bother asking why I wasn't told. The answer was always the same. Robert's parents celebrated their 50th anniversary with a massive party at the country club. Mom sent me a photo afterward, her and Ashley in matching navy dresses. Robert looking proud in his expensive suit. Such a beautiful celebration. The text read, followed by 3 heart emojis. She didn't mention that I hadn't been invited to something involving her husband's family, even though I'd technically been Robert's stepdaughter for 17 years at that point. The thing about being excluded consistently is that you start to develop the sixth sense. You can feel it coming before it happens. Someone mentions an upcoming event, and you already know the explanation for why you won't be there. You've heard them all before, and they've gotten creative over the years. It's just for the book club ladies. Robert's business associates wouldn't understand the dynamic. We didn't want to burden you with the drive. The venue has limited capacity. We thought you'd be busy. Every excuse was different, but they all meant the same thing. You don't belong here. I stopped checking their social media for a while. Stopped torturing myself with photographic evidence of my own irrelevance. But sometimes it found me anyway. A mutual friend would comment on something, and the algorithm would helpfully suggest I might want to see Tyler's birthday party, or Ashley's bachelorette weekend, or the family vacation to Cabo that nobody mentioned to me. Daniel noticed my mood would shift sometimes, seemingly out of nowhere. He'd find me quiet and distant, and eventually I'd admit I'd seen another photo, another event, another reminder that I was genealogically related to these people, but fundamentally separate from them. "Why do you still follow them?" he asked once, genuinely curious rather than judgmental. "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe I keep hoping it'll be different. That one day I'll see a post and there will be a comment saying, 'Wish Lisa could have been here,' or something acknowledging I exist. Has that ever happened? No. Then maybe it's time to stop hoping for something they're never going to give you." He was right, but hope is a stubborn thing. It doesn't respond to logic or evidence. It just keeps whispering that maybe this time will be different, even when you have decades of proof that it won't be. Daniel proposed on a hiking trail during fall, when the aspens were golden and the air smelled like pine and possibility. He didn't make a big show of it, just stopped at a clearing where you could see 3 mountain ranges, pulled out a ring his grandmother had left him, and asked if I wanted to build a life together. I called Mom the next day. She answered on the 4th ring. Daniel proposed. I said, "Oh," there was a pause, and I could hear a blender in the background. "That's nice, honey. When?" "Yesterday. We're thinking next October, somewhere in the mountains." "October? That's ambitious. You'll need to book vendors now," Ashley's wedding planner said. Ashley got engaged. Another pause. Longer this time. "Last month. Didn't I mention it? Brandon proposed in Paris. It was very romantic. They're planning a June wedding at the country club. You didn't tell me." "Well, you never call, Lisa. How am I supposed to tell you things?" I let it go. I was used to letting things go. Planning the wedding became my focus. Daniel's family welcomed me immediately. His mom, Patricia, insisted on video calls to discuss flowers and catering. His sisters created a group chat where they sent me dress options and argued about color schemes. His dad, Michael, called to ask about my parents, what they were like, if they had any dietary restrictions he should know about for the rehearsal dinner. "They probably won't come," I said. "Why not?" I didn't know how to explain it to this man who'd shown me more parental affection in 6 months than I'd received in years. "We're not close." "Well, they're welcome anyway," Michael said. Any parent would be proud to see their daughter marry someone like Daniel. I sent Mom and Robert to save the date in December. Then Dad and Christine got one too. Neither responded. I sent formal invitations in March. Radio silence. I called Mom in April. "Did you get the invitation?" "Oh, yes, it's lovely. October 10th, right?" "Right. The venue is in Estes Park. There's a lodge nearby with rooms blocked off." Estes Park. "Lisa, that's so far. And October is when Robert and I usually do our Napa trip. I'd have to check if we can reschedule." Something in my chest twisted. "It's my wedding, Mom." "I know, sweetheart, but these trips take months to plan. Can't you just do a small ceremony here? Something local so everyone can come." "Everyone," meaning Ashley. Don't start, Lisa. "I'm not starting anything. I'm getting married, and I'm asking if my mother will be there." She sighed. The same exasperated sound she'd made my entire life whenever I asked for anything. "Let me talk to Robert." She never called back. I didn't chase her. I tried. "Dad next," Christine answered. "Lisa, how are you?" "Good. Just calling about the wedding." "Oh, right. October, isn't it?" "That's during Tyler's homecoming weekend. He's on the planning committee this year, and we promised we'd be there. Dad can't miss one football game." Her voice cooled several degrees. "Tyler has worked very hard on this committee. Your father is very proud of him. Surely you understand." I understood perfectly. Tyler's homecoming committee was more important than my wedding. Marcus's dental appointment would probably outrank my college graduation. Ashley's yoga class held more weight than my existence. "Sure," I said. "Tell Dad congratulations on his priorities." I hung up before she could respond. Daniel found me crying on the couch that evening. I told him everything. The whole pathetic story of trying to matter to people who made it clear I didn't. We don't have to invite them. Daniel said, "What? You're a family." "We don't have to invite people who treat you like this. Our wedding should be filled with people who love us, who want to be there. If they can't manage that basic requirement, screw them." I thought about it for a long time. About all the events I've been excluded from, all the times I was told I wasn't wanted, all the years I bent myself into uncomfortable shapes, trying to earn scraps of affection, about Mom's voice saying real family like I was something else entirely. We sent out a revised guest list the next week. Mom, Robert, Ashley, and her fiancé Brandon weren't on it. Neither were Dad, Christine, Tyler, or Marcus. Daniel's family noticed immediately. "Honey, did you forget to add your parents?" Patricia asked during a video call. "No, I said they're not invited." She didn't push, just nodded slowly. "Okay. Do you need anything? Someone to walk you down the aisle?" Michael ended up doing it, said it would be an honor. I cried when he offered. The wedding was perfect. Small, just 70 people in a mountain meadow, with aspens shimmering gold all around us. Daniel's sisters were bridesmaids. My college roommate, Jen, was my maid of honor. She gave a speech about how I was the strongest person she knew, how I built myself into someone remarkable despite having no foundation to stand on. We danced until midnight. Patricia and Michael gave toasts that made everyone cry. Daniel's grandmother, who was 93 and sharp as ever, told me I was the best thing that ever happened to her grandson. I felt loved, genuinely unconditionally loved. The photos went up on Facebook 3 days later. Daniel and I had debated whether to post them at all, but his sisters convinced us. They'd come out beautiful. The mountains in the background. Golden light everywhere, both of us grinning like idiots. Mom called 6 hours after I posted. "What the hell is this?" she demanded. No greeting, no pretense. "My wedding photos," I said calmly. "How did you find them?" "Ashley's friends saw them." "You got married without telling us?" "I told you. I sent the date in an invitation. You said you had a Napa trip. I thought you'd reschedule." "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it without me there." I almost laughed. "Almost? Why would I reschedule?" "You made it clear you weren't interested in coming. I'm your mother." "Yeah, Mom, you are. And you told me I wasn't real family, remember?" "Events are for real family only. You said that multiple times. I didn't mean, you're twisting my words. I'm really not. You spent my entire life making sure I knew I didn't belong. So I stopped trying to belong. I built my own family with people who actually want me around." "Lisa, this is ridiculous. You're being dramatic. We need to have a proper celebration, something where everyone can come." "No." The word felt powerful, simple, final. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean, no. I'm married. It happened. You weren't there because you didn't want to be there. There's nothing to fix. Your father is devastated," Mom said, which was rich since Dad hadn't called. "Is he?" "He chose Tyler's homecoming committee over my wedding. Somehow I think he'll survive." She changed tactics, her voice going soft and wounded. "Honey, I know we've had our difficulties, but family is family. We can work through this. Robert feels terrible. We want to make this right. There's nothing to make right. You've shown me exactly who you are for 28 years. I finally believed you." "Don't do this," Mom said, and she actually sounded panicked. "Don't cut us off. We're your parents. We love you. You have a funny way of showing it." I hung up. She called back immediately. I declined. She called 4 more times. Then texts started coming through from her, from Ashley, even one from Robert saying we needed to discuss this like adults. Dad called the next morning. I let it ring twice before answering, steeling myself. "Becca, what's going on?" "Your mother called Christine very upset." "I got married, Dad. That's what's going on. Without inviting us." "You were invited." Christine said, "You couldn't miss Tyler's homecoming." Silence stretched between us. In it, I could hear every missed birthday, every forgotten recital, every time he chose his new family over the daughter he made with his first one. "That's not fair," he finally said. "You're right. It's not fair. It hasn't been fair for 21 years, Dad, but I'm done caring about fair. You're my daughter. Then act like it." The words burst out of me, sharp and hot. "Act like you care whether I'm alive or dead. Act like my wedding matters more than a high school football game. Act like I'm worth something, instead of treating me like an inconvenient reminder of your first marriage." "Lisa, I'm done, Dad. I'm done begging you to care. I'm done shrinking myself so Christine and her kids don't feel uncomfortable. I'm done being the family member who doesn't count." I hung up on him too. The calls and texts continued for days. Ashley sent a long message about how I was tearing the family apart. How could I be so selfish? Didn't I understand that Mom was crying constantly? Christine texted saying I owed them an apology for this stunt. Tyler, who I hadn't spoken to in 3 years, sent a friend request on Facebook with a message saying we should talk things out. Robert sent an email, a formal business-style email, like I was a client who had broken a contract. He outlined his disappointment in my choices, referenced the values he tried to instill in his household, and suggested that my behavior reflected poorly on my character development. He signed it. "Best regards, Robert. Not even your stepfather or anything acknowledging our supposed relationship." I showed Daniel the email. He read it twice, his jaw getting tighter with each pass. "This guy helped raise you from age 11. And he writes like you're a stranger who insulted him at a networking event," Daniel said. "What kind of person does that?" "The kind who never saw me as family in the first place," I said. Marcus called, surprisingly. We hadn't spoken directly in probably 5 years. His voice was uncertain, younger sounding than I expected. "Hey, Lisa, it's Marcus. I know. What do you want?" "Look, I know things have been weird with the family stuff. I just wanted to say, your wedding looked really nice. Congratulations, I guess." There was something in his tone, something that almost sounded genuine. For a second, I wondered if maybe Marcus had noticed more than he'd let on over the years. If maybe he'd felt uncomfortable with how I was treated, but hadn't known what to do about it. Thanks, I said carefully. Christine is pretty upset. Dad, too. They're saying you cut them off completely. And just like that, the moment of possibility evaporated. He wasn't calling because he understood. He was calling to advocate for them. They cut me off first, Marcus. They've been cutting me off for 21 years. I just stopped pretending it wasn't happening. It wasn't that bad. Your 10th birthday party. Christine sent me inside while everyone else celebrated. I was 9 years old, and I watched through the kitchen window while you all ate cake. Nobody saved me a piece. Nobody even noticed I was gone. Silence stretched between us. I could hear him breathing, processing. I don't remember that, he finally said. I do. I remember all of it. Every graduation I wasn't invited to. Every holiday where I was an afterthought. Every time your mom made it clear I didn't belong. You don't remember because it wasn't happening to you. Lisa, I'm not doing this, Marcus. I'm not explaining to you why being excluded from my own family hurt. If you can't understand that on your own, we have nothing to talk about. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. Daniel wrapped me in a hug. You're doing the right thing. Then why does it feel so awful? Because you're a good person who wanted a family. They're the ones who should feel awful, but people like that rarely do. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the versions of these conversations I'd imagined over the years. In those fantasies, I'd confront them, and they'd finally understand. They'd apologize, genuinely apologize, and we'd somehow repair everything. We'd become the family I'd always wanted. But reality wasn't a fantasy. In reality, they were upset because I'd stopped playing my assigned role. The role of the grateful outsider who accepted whatever scraps they offered and never complained. The convenient relative who could be ignored without consequence. I disrupted their comfortable narrative, and they wanted me to fix it by going back to being invisible. Daniel watched me field these messages with increasing frustration. You should block them. Not yet, I said. I had one more thing to do. My grandmother, Dad's mother, had been at Sunday dinner when Tyler's graduation party was being planned. She'd asked Dad why I wasn't on the guest list. He'd said something about me being busy with college. She'd accepted it, but I saw her face when she called me later to confirm. She knew on some level, she'd always known, but like most people, she probably assumed family issues were complicated and stayed out of it. I called her Friday evening. Grandma, it's Lisa. Oh, sweetheart, I saw your wedding photos. They're beautiful. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't invite you. It was complicated. I understand, honey. Your father explained the situation. My stomach dropped. What situation? That you wanted a small ceremony, just close friends. He said you'd reconnect with the family later, have a proper reception. There it was. The lies they told to make themselves look better, to paint me as the difficult one who wanted distance instead of the daughter they'd systematically excluded. Grandma, that's not true. None of that is true. What do you mean? I told her everything. Every missed birthday, every event I was excluded from, every time someone made it clear I wasn't real family. The Christmas dinner in my room. Ashley's graduation. I wasn't invited to Tyler's party where Christine sent me inside. Mom's words about events being for real family only. Grandma was quiet for a long time when I finished. I had no idea, she finally whispered. Lisa, I swear I had no idea it was that bad. They're good at hiding it. They make it sound reasonable in the moment. One event, one conflict, one scheduling issue, but it's been 21 years of one events. Your father will hear from me, Grandma said, and her voice had steel in it I'd never heard before. This is unacceptable. You're his child. Don't, Grandma. It won't change anything. Maybe not, but he needs to know someone sees what he did, what they all did. We talked for an hour. She asked about Daniel, about the wedding, about my job. Real questions, like she actually cared about the answers. Before we hung up, she said, I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner, sweetheart. I should have paid better attention. I should have done something years ago. It's not your fault. Maybe not, but I'm going to fix what I can. Grandma kept her word. She called the family meeting the following weekend. Dad, Christine, Tyler, Marcus, and apparently even Mom and Robert were there. I wasn't invited, obviously, but Grandma called me afterward. I told them exactly what I thought of their behavior, she said. Your father tried to make excuses. Christine tried to say you were oversensitive. Your mother actually had the audacity to claim you pushed them away. What did you say? I told them I was ashamed. I told them they failed you as parents, and they don't get to rewrite history now that they're facing consequences. Marcus looked uncomfortable. Tyler stayed quiet. Robert tried to defend your mother until I reminded him I've known his type for 70 years, and I'm not impressed. What about Dad? Grandma sighed heavily. Your father said he did his best. Said the divorce was complicated and he was trying to blend two families. I asked him point blank, when was the last time he called you just to talk? He couldn't answer. My throat tightened. Hearing it laid out so plainly, even secondhand, drove home how little I'd mattered. Christine got defensive, Grandma continued. Started talking about how hard it was to raise her boys, how she tried to include you, but you always seemed distant. I reminded her of that birthday party, the one where she sent you inside. She actually tried to deny it happened. Of course she did. I told her I believed you, not her. That shut her up pretty quickly. Grandma paused. Ashley was the worst, though. She kept saying you were jealous of her, that you'd always resented her relationship with your mother, said you were making everything about you when it should be about family unity. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Family unity. That's rich coming from her. I may have told her that family unity requires actually treating someone like family, and she wouldn't know anything about that since she'd spent years benefiting from your exclusion. Grandma, what? It's true. That girl has had your mother's undivided attention while you got crumbs. She doesn't get to play victim now. I smiled despite everything. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, honey. Your grandfather would have loved Daniel, by the way. He always said you could judge a man by how he treats people who can't do anything for him. The calls and messages slowed after that. Desperation turned to anger. Mom sent one final text. When you grow up and realize what you've done, don't expect us to forgive you easily. You hurt a lot of people. I showed Daniel. He shook his head. She's unbelievable. She really is. I made the call then, not to them, but to myself. The internal decision that changed everything. I was done. Completely. Finally, irrevocably done. No more hoping they'd change. No more leaving doors open for apologies that would never come. No more giving them chances to hurt me. I blocked them. All of them. Mom, Dad, Christine, Robert, Ashley, Tyler, Marcus. Their phone numbers. Their social media. Their emails. I set up filters so anything from them went straight to trash. It felt like taking off weighted clothing I'd been wearing my entire life. Patricia called the next week to check in. How are you holding up, sweetheart? Better than I expected, I said. Honestly, I thought I'd feel guilty or sad, but mostly I just feel light. Good. You deserve to feel light. You deserve a family that cherishes you. I have one now, I said. Your family has been more loving in a year than mine was in 28. That's because you're easy to love, Lisa. Anyone who can't see that is blind. 6 months later, I got a letter. Actual snail mail, forwarded from my old address. Mom's handwriting on the envelope. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. Inside was a wedding invitation. Ashley's wedding, June 15th, at the country club. Black tie, dinner, and dancing to follow. There was a note tucked inside in Mom's handwriting. We're hoping you can attend as a family. It's important to Ashley that you're there. Please consider this an olive branch. We can discuss everything at the wedding. Love, Mom. I read it 3 times, trying to process the sheer audacity. They'd excluded me from everything for my entire life. I'd finally stopped chasing their approval, stopped begging for scraps of belonging, and now they wanted me to show up to Ashley's perfect country club wedding so they could pretend to be a functional family in front of their friends. A week later, another envelope arrived. This one was cream-colored, expensive paper. Inside was a card with embossed flowers. Lisa, it read in Ashley's looping handwriting, I know we've had our differences, but you're still my sister. It would mean the world to me if you could be there on my special day. Mom mentioned you got married without us, and I understand you might have been upset about something, but this is a chance for us to move forward as a family. Please say you'll come. RSVP by May 1st. Love, Ashley. I showed both letters to Daniel. He read them with his eyebrows climbing higher with each sentence. "She's calling your wedding without us like they weren't invited," he said. "And Ashley thinks you were upset about something, like it was a minor disagreement and not decades of systematic exclusion." "They're rewriting history," I said, making it sound like I'm the one who walked away over nothing. "Are you going to respond?" I considered it. Imagine writing back, laying out every instance of rejection, every hurt. But they already knew. They'd been there for all of it. They just didn't care. Or worse, they genuinely believed their own revised version where they were innocent and I was difficult. No, I decided. Responding gives them what they want: engagement. They want me to argue or explain or justify myself so they can dismiss it again. What if they keep sending stuff? Then I'll keep ignoring it. But they didn't stop. Mom called from a different number that bypassed my blocks. She left voicemails that ranged from sweet, "Honey, please, let's talk about this like adults," to accusatory. "You're being incredibly selfish and you're going to regret this," to manipulative. "Your behavior is affecting my health, Lisa. I've been having heart palpitations from the stress." Dad sent a handwritten letter that arrived 2 weeks before Ashley's wedding. His handwriting was the same as I remembered from childhood when he used to sign my report cards and permission slips. "Lisa, I don't know how we got here. You're my daughter and I love you. I know I haven't been perfect, but I did my best in a difficult situation. Divorce is hard on everyone, and blending families is complicated. I'm asking you to consider attending Ashley's wedding. Not for me or your mother, but for yourself. Holding on to anger will only hurt you in the long run. Life is short and family is important. I don't want to lose you over something we can work through. Please call me, Dad." I read it sitting at our kitchen table. Daniel was making dinner, the smell of garlic and tomatoes filling our house. "He's acting like I'm the one holding a grudge," I said, "like I'm choosing anger instead of family." Daniel turned from the stove. "You're choosing your own well-being over people who hurt you repeatedly. That's not anger, that's boundaries." He said he did his best. His best was choosing Tyler's homecoming committee over your wedding. His best was letting Christine exclude you from birthday parties. If that's his best wasn't good enough. Daniel was right. They kept framing this as me being unable to forgive, me holding grudges, me damaging the family. But I wasn't damaging anything. I was just refusing to pretend the damage didn't exist. Daniel found me staring at the invitation. "Is that what I think it is?" "It is. What are you going to do?" I thought about it. Thought about showing up, about causing a scene, about giving a toast that detailed every time they rejected me. I thought about revenge in all its possible forms. Then I thought about the life I'd built, the job I loved, the husband who cherished me, the in-laws who called just to chat. I thought about the hiking trips Daniel and I planned, the friends we hosted for dinner parties, the quiet joy of being wanted exactly as I was. I walked to the fireplace and tossed the invitation in, watched it curl in black, and turned to ash. "I'm not going to do anything," I said. "I'm going to live my life with people who actually love me. That's the best revenge." Daniel hugged me from behind. "I'm proud of you." "Thanks. Can we plan that trip to Yellowstone now?" "Absolutely." We left for Yellowstone the weekend of Ashley's wedding. Spent 5 days hiking, seeing wolves and bison, sleeping under more stars than I'd ever seen. I didn't think about the wedding. Didn't wonder how it went or whether they noticed my absence. Patricia texted me a photo of their garden on what would have been Ashley's wedding day. "These roses reminded me of you," the message said. "Hope you two are having an amazing trip." That was family. Someone who thought of you not because they needed something, but because they loved you. Mom tried calling a few weeks later. The number was blocked, but she left a voicemail through some app that bypassed my filters. I listened to it once. "Lisa, I don't understand why you're being so stubborn. Ashley's wedding was beautiful, but your absence was noted. People asked where you were. It was embarrassing for me. I think you owe me an apology for putting me in that position. Call me back so we can fix this." I deleted it and reported the app. There was nothing to fix. They'd broken something long ago, and I'd finally stopped trying to repair it with my bare hands. A year after my wedding, Daniel and I bought a house. Patricia and Michael helped us move along with Daniel's sisters and their families. We had a housewarming party with 30 people who'd shown up for us consistently, who celebrated our wins, and supported us through challenges, who wanted to be there. Jen gave a toast with wine we were all too tired to properly appreciate. To Lisa and Daniel, who built themselves a home filled with actual love. May you never run out of coffee or closet space. Everyone laughed. Michael pulled me aside later. Your parents don't know what they missed, he said quietly. You're an incredible person, Lisa. Their loss is absolutely our gain. I hugged him, this man who chose to be my father in all the ways that mattered. 2 years after my wedding, Patricia called with news. She had breast cancer. Treatable, she insisted. Caught early, but she needed surgery and chemo. I took 3 weeks off work, stayed with her and Michael, drove her to appointments, sat with her during infusions. Daniel's sisters rotated through on weekends. We made a schedule, created a meal train, turned their house into a command center of love and logistics. One evening, after a particularly rough chemo session, Patricia held my hand. You didn't have to do this, she said, taking time off work, staying here. Yes, I did. You're my family. She smiled, tired but genuine. I'm so glad Daniel found you, or you found him, however it worked. Me too. Are you happy, sweetheart? Really happy? I thought about my life, the career I'd built helping protect wetlands, the husband who still left me notes in my lunch, the friends who knew me completely, the in-laws who'd shown me what family could be. I'm happier than I ever thought possible, I said truthfully. Good. That's all I wanted to know. Patricia recovered fully. 6 months after her last treatment, we threw a party to celebrate. She stood in the center of their backyard, surrounded by everyone who'd helped her through, and thanked each person individually. When she got to me, she said, Lisa stayed for 3 weeks, took care of me like I was her own mother. I want everyone to know how grateful I am and how lucky we are to have her in this family. I cried happy tears, the kind I never thought I'd shed over the word family. That night, Daniel and I drove home in comfortable silence. As we pulled into our driveway, I saw our house lights on exactly how we'd left them. I don't miss them, I said suddenly. Mom, Dad, all of them. I thought I would, but I don't. You miss what you wish they'd been, Daniel said, not who they actually were. He was right. I'd spent years mourning parents who never existed, a family that was always a fantasy. Meanwhile, I'd built something real with people who chose to love me. My phone buzzed, a Facebook message from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Lisa, this is Ashley. I got your number from Mom. I'm pregnant, and I'd really like you to be in the baby's life. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time, thought about all the ways I could respond, all the things I could say about how convenient it was that they wanted me now for babysitting duty, probably after years of exclusion. Instead, I blocked the number and deleted the message. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Ashley? Ashley, I confirmed. Apparently she's pregnant and wants me involved. What did you say? Nothing. I said nothing because there's nothing to say. I'd learned the hardest lesson. You can't fix people who don't think they're broken. You can't earn love from people who see you as optional. You can't build family with people who treat you like a stranger. But you can build something better with people who see you, who choose you, who show up. 3 years after my wedding, Daniel got promoted to a regional director position. We celebrated with Patricia and Michael, with his sisters and their growing families, with Jen and my work friends. It was a Tuesday night, pizza and beer in our backyard, nothing fancy. Michael stood up with his beer raised. To Daniel, who worked his ass off for this, and to Lisa, who supported him every step of the way. That's partnership. Everyone cheered. Daniel kissed me in front of everyone, not caring about the good-natured teasing from his sisters. Later, cleaning up paper plates and empty bottles, I had a moment of clarity. This was it. This messy, imperfect, absolutely genuine life I'd built. These people who showed up on Tuesdays for pizza, who remembered my work presentations, who texted to check in randomly. This was what family actually looked like. My phone buzzed one more time that night. A Facebook notification. Dad had tried to send me a friend request. His profile picture showed him with Christine, Tyler, Marcus, and 2 small children I didn't recognize. Grandkids, probably Tyler's or Marcus's, given their ages. I declined the request and locked my profile completely. Daniel came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. Everything okay? Everything's perfect, I said, and I meant it. I'd spent years trying to earn a place at tables that weren't meant for me. Now I had my own table, built with people who'd helped me build it. They could keep their country club weddings and their color-coordinated Christmases. I had something better, a family that actually wanted me there. That call I'd made to myself 3 years ago, the internal decision that ended it all, wasn't to them. It was the moment I chose to stop chasing, stop hoping, stop believing things would change. The moment I called the whole painful charade exactly what it was, and walked away from it forever. I chose myself, chose to build something new with people who deserved my love. That call saved my life, not dramatically, not obviously, but in the quiet way that matters most. I was finally home.